Alright guys, here it's W Nintendo, and I'm here to talk about something a little more, I don't know, foolish of people to do. Now, the thing is that people think that 2012 is actually going to happen, which it won't, because I have a few reasons. I don't have them written down on paper. This is just some common knowledge that I certainly do not need to know, but do have in my mind at this moment. Basically, 2012 isn't going to happen, mainly just because of the fact that it's a scam, a hoax, a fraud. It's basically the biggest con in the history of America as of this point. Well, not even then. Well, not even that. That was kind of a dumb word for me to use, but anyways, that's not how it's gonna work, guys. I have a few reasons why people think that it's gonna end in 2012. One, people think that that there's just gonna be a giant solar flare that's gonna come and destroy the magnetic field of the rotation of Earth and throw it off of our, my dog is trying to eat my backpack, which has a sandwich in it. Anyways, it's basically going to throw off the magnetic field of Earth, and it's just going to hurl the planet to the sun. Now, question, why would the magnetic field throw the Earth towards the sun? And so basically, I mean, that's not going to happen at all. Even if there was a giant solar flare, no. Mainly just because of the fact that, even if there was a giant solar flare, how would we predict it just on that day of 2012? And, let's see, what other reasons are there to believe that and another reason, we are currently in one of the biggest solar storms in the history of ever in the US. Now, another thing that you want to say is basically the fact that 2012, like a giant meteor is going to come down and ruin us all. There's also no way to predict when meteors are going to come. Just because they've spotted a meteor doesn't necessarily mean there is going to be a meteor. Not only that, what happens if it comes into our atmosphere? I mean, you need to figure out sizes, you calculate distance, calculate the erosion by just coming into Earth's atmosphere. So, yeah, you're going to need to worry about that. Plus, the Mayan calendar actually is only 200 and something days, meaning that if it was true at the end of the Mayan calendar of the harvest, that would mean that the Earth would have ended in 1492. So that's pretty much, well, that's, yeah. Anyways, well, something like 1492, I'm not exactly sure, I haven't done the full math. But, another thing, the same with that fact, another Mayan calendar, basically, I forget which one's this called, but basically that calendar is longer than our calendar, so wouldn't that mean that if it ended, it would end not in 2012? And plus, how many people have predicted the 2012, the end of the world? There was Nostradamus, there was a crazy old guy who believed in the Bible so hardcore that they thought we were gonna rapture in May. And, yeah. So that's another thing. Let's see. What's another thing? The fact that, I'll be right back when I go find some more reasons why people actually believe in this. So I'll be right back. Oh, this is just funny. Look at this. It says, 7 reasons the world will end in 2012, proven scientifically. It says, scientific experts from around the world will generally predict the 5 years from now, all Earth on life will finish. Some are saying it'll be humans that set it off, others believe that it is a natural phenomenon that will be the cause. And the religious folks are saying it will be God himself who presses the stop button. Be right back, I gotta enlarge this window so you guys can see the rest of it. Apparently I can't, so, the first Moab prediction is that at the end of the world there will be Mayans, a bloodthirsty race? A bloodthirsty race. Are you kidding? They were nowhere near a bloodthirsty race. They were one of the most scientifically, astrologically assumed races in the history of the world. How were they bloodthirsty? Thousands of years ago, they managed to calculate the length of the lunar moon, 3.329.53020 days. Only 34 seconds out, the Mayan calendar predicts that the Earth will end on December 21st, 2012. Given that they were pretty close to the mark of our lunar cycle, it's likely that they got the end of the world right as well. Let's look at this really quickly. How does predicting our lunar cycle predict the end of the world? That's one thing. Could have been an easy thing for them to predict. It could have been just math. It is just math, actually. It's just calculating the distance between the moon and the Earth. Admittedly, that's kind of impressive how they could do that with such primitive technology. But honestly, I mean, it's not that hard. So, I'm not sure how that would work. Alright, let's keep going down. Sunstorms. Solar experts from around the world are monitoring the sun to make sure a startling discovery. Our sun is a bit off strife. What? The energy output of the sun is, like most things, in natural, cyclic, and it's supposed to be in the middle of its period with relative stability. However, recent storms have been bombarding the Earth with so much radioactive energy it's knocked our power grids and destroyed satellites. This activity is predicted to get worse, and calculations suggest that it will reach deadly peaks sometime in 2012. As I said earlier, we are in one of the biggest solar storms in the history of the universe at the moment, so that's pretty much another one of that. Plus, not only that, the sun, while it is a bit off strife, it's nowhere near going to put up enough energy output in order to do this. And destroying satellites, really, the sun has destroyed multiple satellites. It's the hottest thing in our solar system. And you're saying that just because it destroys satellites, that this is going to end it. Unbelievable. Scientists in Europe have been building the world's largest particular accelerator. Basically, it's a 27-kilometer tunnel designed to smash atoms together to find out what makes the universe tick. However, the mega gadget has caused a serious concern, with some scientists suggesting that it's probably even a bad idea to turn it on in the first place. They're predicting all matter in deadly results, including mini black hole. Do people know what smashing an atom does? It creates enough energy to create a nuclear explosion. It's not going to create mini black holes. So the machine is fired up for its first serious experiment in 2012. The world could be crushed into a super dense blob the size of a... It's not going to create mini black holes. No. Dude, when an atom is smashed, all it does is create the size of a nuclear explosion. That's why they built the 27-kilometer tunnel, so that it could be tested safely. God. Oh, here we go. The Bible says, if having scientists warned up about the end of the world isn't bad enough, religious folks are getting into the act as well. Interpretations of the Christian Bible reveal that the date of Armageddon, the final battle between good and evil, is set to go down in 2012. The I Ching, also known as the Chinese Book of Changes, says the same thing, as do various sections of Hindu teachings. And, I mean, that's just a prediction. I mean, let's think about this for a second. I believe in God and everything, but honestly, people, just because a bunch of people are teaching you this doesn't mean it's true. I believe in God, but I don't think it ever said that the final battle between good and evil is going to go down in 2012. Okay? It never was written, so. Supervolcano. Yellowstone National Park in the United States is famous for its thermal springs and Old Faithful geyser. The reasons for this simple: is sitting at the top of the world's biggest volcano, and geological experts are beginning to get nervous sweats. The Yellowstone volcano had a pattern of erupting 650,000 years ago, and we're many years overdue for an explosion that will fill the atmosphere with ash, blocking the sun, and plunging Earth into a frozen winter that could last up to 15,000 years. The pressure under Yellowstone Park is building steadily. The geologists have set 2012 as a likely date for the Big Bang. As the most likely thing of 2012, it's only under Yellowstone National Park and most parts of the area around that. So such as, perhaps Wyoming, Denver, and basically most countries in the United States are going to get covered in ash. It's not going to block out the sun. Sure, ash actually does, pretty much. It's just a bigger Mount St. Helens. And ash actually falls pretty quickly since it is heavier than dust. So, and imagine how quickly dust falls. So it is going to take out most of the United States, if it happens. But if it was predicted to go off back then, how come it's going to go off now? While it is building steadily, and it will go off eventually, not sure it'll go off this year. So, yeah. The physicists. Oh my god. Is that supposed to say physicists? Yes, it is. This one cases the bog similar mathematics. Physicists at Berkeley Uni have been crunching the numbers, and they've determined the Earth will overdue for a major catastrophic event. Even worse, they're claiming the calculations prove that we're all going to die very soon. While also saying their prediction comes with a certainty of 99%, 2012 just happens to be the best guess of when it too occurs. Quick question. What were their calculations? Because I'm pretty sure that those calculations are wrong. Because if it's just a Berkeley University, people are wrong. And it's a university. They're still learning stuff. And, you know, that's just kind of dumb. So, I mean, what were their calculations? I want to see those calculations. Oh, God. We all know that the Earth is surrounded by a magnetic field that shields us from... We're not surrounded by a magnetic field. The magnetic field is inside the Earth's core. Oh, wait. No, you're right. It is. Yeah, pretty much. It is surrounded by a magnetic field. I just got confused for a second. We all know that the Earth is surrounded by a magnetic field that shields us from the sun's radiation. What you might not know is that the magnetic poles we call north and south have a nasty habit of swapping places every 750,000 years ago. And right now, we're about 30,000 years overdue. Scientists have noted that the poles are drifting apart roughly 20 to 30 kilometers each year, much faster than ever before, with points pole shifting being right around the corner. While the pole shift is underway, the magnetic field is disrupting and will eventually disappear, sometimes for up to 100 years. The result is enough UV outdoors to crisp your skin in seconds, killing everything it touches. Okay, listen to this. So, just by taking 750,000 years ago, and 30 years or so, not ago, we're about 30,000 years overdue. Now, I'm going to go crunch some numbers. I'll be right back. Boop. I'm back. Anyways, 750,000 years or so, and right now we're about 30,000 years overdue. Now, taking that 750,000 plus 30,000 is 7,800,000, Grant. 7,800,000 years. Now, seeing as the Earth is 4.8 billion years old, the fact that, if that was going to happen, it would happen about, I didn't do this properly, but, I would have guessed that it was going to happen about, I don't know, perhaps maybe 90 times? 90 times. And it hasn't destroyed anything at all. Anything. The Earth's magnetic field will not go away. It's just not possible. Now, seeing as the fact that the poles will be shifting farther apart, and seeing as how that will affect the Earth's course somehow, I don't know how, and I can understand how, you're worried about this, but let's take this for example. What happens if it does? How are we going to predict that? If they're switching from 20 to 30 kilometers a year, when was that taken? It doesn't mean anything. Plus, if they're swapping places, all it's going to do, people, is they're going to meet in the middle, and it's just going to create a larger area of a certain magnetic field. It's going to increase the area in one area for about, 2 years, and then it's just going to slightly decrease the magnetic area in another. Meaning the fact that it's not going to do anything because the Earth is rotating. The Earth is rotating, people. If they move 20 to 30 kilometers apart, why did they account for the Earth rotating Because if they're drifting apart and the Earth is rotating, if they're drifting in opposite directions that they were to which area the Earth is rotating, wouldn't it kind of cancel out the fact that the Earth, the Earth's poles are actually rotating? And how many times has this been predicted before? A lot, people. It has been predicted that the magnetic field around Earth will disappear. And it didn't destroy anything as far as I'm concerned, because if this happened 78,000 years ago, we wouldn't be here, people. We wouldn't be here. Because let's think about this for a second. Apparently, the Earth, according to people from the Bible, could have only been made 40,000 years ago, or 4,000, something like that. Now, seeing as that this is 750,000 years ago, the Earth is 4.8 billion years old. And if it was 4.8 billion years old, 4.8 billion divided by 750,000, that's about... Oh, I didn't do this math, did I? Nope, you're back. Okay, that's about 6,400. Now, seeing as that is basically around the time that the Earth was made by God, apparently, wouldn't that mean that it's sort of, kind of be dead already? I mean, think about this for a second. That's already 13,000 years ago. And if we're already 30,000 years overdue, wouldn't that mean that the last part was overdue? Slightly, at least? Because you can't predict this. I mean, it doesn't say, look, scientists have noted that the poles are drifting farther apart, roughly 20 to 30 kilometers each year. And if that happened every 750,000 years ago, that doesn't add up to 4.8 billion. Okay, people? 2012 is not going to happen. Okay? It's not gonna happen. So, stay calm. And let's think about this for a second. If you made a shelter for the apocalypse, how would that protect you from any of this? I rest my case, people. I'm gonna see if I can find a thread that's actually kind of, good about this. I'll see you guys in a sec. Thank God most people aren't dumb. No, too bad. I mean, good thing, some people aren't dumb. Why our shifting of our poles wouldn't be catastrophic? It seemed that every few 100,000 years or so, the Earth's magnetic field dwindlessly practiced nothing that gradually reappear with the north and south poles flipped. Now those flipping magnetic poles will appear to have in about 780,000 years ago isn't particularly dangerous. But this brief period, about a century of duration, a decreased magnetic fields cannot threaten life on the planet, for without magnetic protection, particle storms or cosmic rays from the sun, as well as more energetic subatomic particles from deep space would strike Earth's atmosphere, eroding the already bluestered ozone layer that caused all sorts of problems from both man and beast, especially the creatures from magnetic reckoning. Further, scientists estimate that we are overdue for such an event that has already noticed that our strength for magnetic field has decreased about 5% in the last century, possibly signaling that an event in which the immediate future, within a few centuries, not sooner. However, it being so gradual, should scientists in the future discover that such a shift in the works, that they should be plenty of time to take the necessary precautions to avoid most destructive effects from moving underground or off the planet, or perhaps strengthening the planet's atmospheric defenses through the use of exotic, futuristic technologies. In any case, it isn't something we need to worry about short term, though it could be a concern for those living a few hundred or even thousands of years from now. There you go. An increase in sunspot activity in 2012 will not have any particular detrimental effect on the planet. As every school kid knows, our sun is constantly shooting gaseous plumes of white plasma through thousands of miles of space, which our atmosphere generously shields us from. Sometimes these plumes are much larger than normal. However, there are a few as solar flares, more popularly known as coronal mass ejections. Fortunately, these enormous magnetic outbursts that bombard the Earth with a torrent of high-speed subatomic particles are also largely negated from the planet's atmosphere and magnetic field, so we seldom feel the effects of these plasmic bursts, beyond creating havoc for ham radio users and increasing the luminosity of the aurora borealis, or northern lights. They are concerned mainly of space explorers, who really have a problem if they're caught in orbit without suitable shelter and one of these things go off. The sun goes through a natural 22-year cycle when the sunstorms increase, significantly for a short time decreasing again. Such a short period is scheduled to occur in 2012, which is some folks all to Twitter. For these who are expecting the worst, it might be beneficial to realize that the sun reached similar period of solar activity in 1990, 1968, 1946, and will again happen in 2034, 2056, and 2078. While these periods can produce large solar flares that can affect satellite communications and, in worst-case scenario, adversely affect the flow of electrical energy through power grids, it is unlikely to do more than produce some especially spectacular light show in the northern skies that make people on board international space stations a little nervous. Let's see, Spaceballs cannot shift or the planet's Earth. Oh, yeah, I explained this. Woo! Yes, thank you. I want to read this. Some take more to handle the approach at the end, claiming that humanity will perish of human weather changes, which, in claim, will melt polar ice caps, raise the ocean sea levels, and change weather patterns over large portions of the planet, even if the science holds it together. However, with many claim it does not, such a process would be felt over a period of years or even decades, giving human beings the time to adapt to the changes, relocate, create shoreline reclamation technologies, etc. It's even possible that a warmer planet might be beneficial by, for example, increasing arable land in Siberia and North America as the permafrost layer retreats north wind. In any case, the year 2012 has no particular significance in regards to many Earth changes that will occur in the next few decades. Because the people who suggest the end is coming don't know what they're talking about. Oh boy. Oh my god, I'm not going to read that next one. I will get so much flaming. It's a subject that needs to be talked about, so I will read it. Unfortunately, human beings have a tendency to invest great authority in people who convince them that they are prophecy experts or have some hidden knowledge that otherwise do not possess them to read the future. Many of these peoples are sincere individuals who simply misinterpret ancient Bible texts, while others are deluded crazies who only want them to include them into their fantasy world. A few are even unscrupulous charlatans who make a quick buck. The bottom line is, however, that nobody really has evidence that anyone will ever successfully prophesy some future event beyond the short-term political or military events can even surmise by gauging current international trends with anything approaching clarity or accuracy. I'm gonna get flamed because the Bible code is a parlor trick. Look at that. Look at that, because the Earth isn't that easy to destroy. Because doomsday prophecies have consistently been proven wrong. Because Nostradamus never picked 2012 as an end date. Because the Mayans never claimed it. I'm going to read that one as the last one. I'm going to read, because the Earth isn't that easy to destroy. I went over that. Maybe I'll go over that, and I will definitely go over that one. Here we go. Using a complex type of cryptographic code called Unison Letter Sequence, ELS, journalist Michael Drozen, author of the Bible Code, contends that one can find a meaningful and related patterns to words and dates, and close proximity to each other within the words of Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the heart of the Jewish Torah, which would seem to go beyond mere chance. One of these, he says, suggests the planet will be struck by a comet in 2012, with all the unfortunate consequences that it would entail. However, critics dismiss Drozen's methodology a little more as a parlor trick. Demonstrating that meaningful words and phrases can be produced in the melody method of similar sized manuscript. For example, Australian mathematic Brendan McKay, an Arctic critic of the Drozen's process, demonstrated that a computer of Herman Melville's 19th century Moby Dick found a number of meaningful phrases in close proximity to each other, specifically having to do with the late Israel Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin's assassination in 1995. Suggesting that his eyes can be tricked into seeing familiar faces in random patterns of light and shadow, so too can be found in the mind into lifting meaningful phrases in random collections of letters that were non-exist. If that's not enough, Drozen has been proved about another significant events he claims were contained by the Bible, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Let's see. Oh, this is a very short paragraph. Sure, there are things that could do the planet in, but Earth is a lot hardier place than many give it credit for. After all, it has been here for 4 billion years now. Had it clocked repeatedly cleansed by asteroids and comets, endured climatic change of biblical proportions, and even survived a collision with another planet that created our own moon. And yet it keeps on ticking. And you think a few melting ice caps and puny nuclear weapons are going to do it in? Please. Oh my god. Thank you. This person knows what he's talking about. Finally. Thank you, whoever wrote this article. Thank you. Top10s.net. Life on a short list. This guy knows what he's talking about. So let's keep reading, shall we? No, I don't think I'll read that one. Because the Mayans never predicted it would. The Mayans had many calendars that they used, one of which was known as the long count calendar, which measures very long periods of time. According to the calendar, which has been known to archaeologists for decades, by the way, that the Earth's fifth sun would end at the winter solstice. December 21, 2012, at which point a new sixth, 5,125-year cycle calendar would begin. What significance this has the Mayan source of some debate, but has general consciousness that they do not attribute of catastrophic events. Most likely, they simply consider it a time before spiritual renewal or introspection, which doesn't sound at all like dangerous to me. The teaching of the Mayans believed that it was the end of time, then appears to be largely westernized misreading or deliberate misinterpretation of the significance of the Mayan calendar and Mayans' belief associated with it. Okay. There you are, people. Proof. Sweet proof. Thank you all. And thank you, none.